Welcome to the Game Corner Podcast, episode 22. It's been a while since I've recorded, and it's been a while since my co-host Cipher has been around. He actually hasn't been around since the middle of June, but within that time span, I actually had to take about a month and a half off myself because I had to help my grandparents move, and I had to... my house got struck by lightning, as I've mentioned a few times. But we're back, hopefully. So, hopefully everything's going good.
Yeah, things are alright on my end.
So,
can't complain.
How's it been going, man? How's things with you been lately?
As you mentioned, I haven't really been around since June, so I've been trying to I had to take a couple of months off just for some personal stuff, but I've been kind of trying to get back into everything. As of this month, I dropped out of school completely. I think I might have mentioned that a couple of times just in, the chat that we have with all the Black Sakura guys, so I completely dropped out of school. I'm gonna apply to a different university probably around January, and they're all online, so it's going to be a lot better, I think. Aside from that, I might be moving this spring. My dad gave me a pretty good offer to move out and live with him for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought he made a pretty good case for it. So he was like, oh, well, you want to pay rent, and I'm like, that honestly, not paying rent alone is a good enough reason. Yeah, so there's that, and I've mostly just been kind of working off and on. Been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous lately, which is like a space flight sim. It's really good.
Right.
It's one of the few MMOs that I really enjoy. So I've been playing that a lot, and that's really all I've been doing. I've still been playing a lot of recent releases as well. Not as much as I was before, obviously, but I'm still up on stuff that has piqued my interest. This month I think I bought I definitely bought the new Fist of the North Star game that came out, made by the Yakuza team. Can't remember what else I ended up getting. I also got my first platinum trophy in a game that wasn't a visual novel, which was really interesting.
I have no idea what the hell just happened there. That was weird.
Yeah, so I got my first platinum trophy in a game that's not a visual novel. I ended up the weekend that Spider-Man came out on PS4. I bought it the day of. Got my new glasses from the eye doctor, and then basically spent the entire weekend playing through Spider-Man PS4.
Such a great game.
It's really good. I found that the last stuff for the platinum was very grindy, though. The street crimes, especially. There's 165 of those.
Oh yeah, and they're all categorized too. On top of that.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I just thought that was kind of shitty. But yeah, no, it's a really good game. I haven't played the DLC yet, though. I'm probably gonna do that next month. I've seen footage of it, and it looks alright.
I haven't played it myself, to be honest, either, the DLC.
Yeah.
But I do have it downloaded, and that's something I'm actually going to do during Extra Life weekend. Play some of the Spider-Man DLC. But as far as that goes, so I said on my last unboxing video, which was the SoulCalibur 6 Collector's Edition unboxing I did on Tuesday, I said that I was going to tell the road trip stories of my trip to and from South Carolina.
Okay.
So I figured I'll do that. Now I told the short version of this of the story. Told the short version, and basically what happened was we left on last Thursday morning. Last Friday morning, my bad. And what happened was we We had to, secure the stuff in the back of the U-Haul truck. We gassed up. We hit the road at a little after 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And we were, smooth driving for a couple hours until we got into Virginia. What a fucking shit show nightmare that was, let me tell you. Virginia fucking sucked.
Why?
We sat in 3.5 hours of traffic. Got a flat tire on the U-Haul truck that my aunt was driving. So she drove on a flat tire for like 60, 70 miles. And it took 3 hours between the time my dad called the U-Haul service to have them come out and change the tire. He called at 6:30, right before we stopped for dinner. And it wasn't until 9:30 p.m. that we were able to get back onto the road. So we lost 3.5 hours due to traffic. Another 3 hours because of a flat tire.
Fuck, dude, that's rough.
We did not get to my grandparents' house in South Carolina until 2:48 in the morning by the time I had gotten all my stuff in the house and was ready to go to sleep. And we had left we hit the road, like I said, it was a little after 12. So it took us about 15 hours and 40 minutes to get down there from Pennsylvania.
Jesus Christ.
Being down there, and I was only down there for a day, so it's not like I was really able to enjoy it much at all.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, we woke up, we unloaded the truck, which only took an hour between me, my dad, my aunt. My grandfather did a little bit of the work. He's 73, so you can't do much. But it only took us an hour. We had breakfast, then we went out sightseeing for a little while. They have a boardwalk down there. Unfortunately, that day, they just happened to be doing a festival. So all of the souvenir shops and stuff were closed, except for like 4 or 5.
Yeah, that's kind of shitty.
They had a free, country music singer out there doing cover songs and whatnot. Guy was absolutely terrible, and I'm not saying he was terrible because of the music he was singing. I mean, he was just awful.
I was gonna say, generally, musicians who do that kind of stuff for free at outdoor events, if it's a smaller community, they're usually not very good.
I mean, I don't know if he did it for free or if whoever organized the festival paid the guy.
Yeah.
But it was free to sit there, go watch. You could just walk up.
Yeah.
You could just walk up to the area where he was and just stand there. Or they had a few chairs, laid out on the grass. And if there was any seating room, you could sit. You didn't have to pay to see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. We have a jazz and blues festival here in September of every year. And it's kind of the same thing where it's like there's 3 or 4 different places you can go to listen to music, and it's basically like all day long people just play and you can just kind of hang out there. It's really good. Like,
I mean, that's kind of similar to what we saw out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. I went, we went to a candy store, went to a couple of souvenir shops. One store I went into, I actually found a shirt. Apparently they're anti-SJW and feminist over there in this shop, because I found a shirt on it that says "fuck your safe space."
Fuck.
And the F word was censored. It had a skull in place of the U, but it still spelled out the rest of the word. And it said "fuck your safe space" on it.
That's pretty good.
So, on the way back on Sunday, again, we were making good time. We left at 6:10 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
We were making good time. We made much better time, actually, than on the way down there. Smooth sailing. Cars riding fine. We get into fucking Virginia again. Here we go again. Fucking Virginia. Bad luck state. Bad luck state. Bad Virginia. So we go into the state. We get, we're running out of gas. We stop at a truck stop to get gas and eat breakfast, because the truck stop had a restaurant on it. And turns out that they were doing breakfast and lunch, because by the time we stopped, it was almost 11:30, so they had started making their lunch stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we sit down. The girl brings out our sodas, and stuff. Well, my dad had orange juice. Me and my aunt had soda. So she brings out her cups. She puts mine and my dad's glasses down perfectly fine. But I guess the condensation from one of the cups, she put my aunt's drink down, and the cup spilt sideways because the way she put it down because the cup was wet.
Yeah.
Soda and ice all over the fucking table.
Oh, that fucking sucks.
All over the floor. I had to jump out of the way, otherwise my leg was going to wear half of it. So, we had to get up from the table. The lady apologized. Accidents happen. You're not going to get pissed off at something like that. But, they had a guy come over, mop the area. The lady came back with a bunch of napkins and some rags, and she wiped down the table. She cleaned it so it wouldn't be sticky or anything. It's all good. My aunt got a new drink, obviously, for free. We sat there, we ordered. About 20 minutes later, our food comes. We eat, we enjoyed our food, we left. My aunt's driving now, and we're on the highway. We sit in about maybe 15 minutes worth of traffic, which is a hell of a lot better than 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, we come to a complete stop for a moment, and my dad's truck shuts off. It's actually not a truck, it's a car. I keep calling it a truck. I don't know why. Dodge Magnum. Dodge Magnum, it's not a truck. My aunt's turning it back on, it won't kick over. And my dad's getting up, he's like, fuck. Meanwhile, we're in the left lane, holding up traffic even more. So me and my dad had to jump out of the car, push it onto the shoulder, and now you got people going around us on the shoulder, and my dad's trying to tell one person to fucking stop, because we're trying to get the car off the road. And this lady stops for like 10 seconds, decides to not have any patience, and tries to run my dad over on the fucking shoulder.
Fuck.
So we do get the car off the road onto the shoulder. Turns out, I guess we got bad gas because it hasn't happened like the rest of the trip. We were fine.
Mm-hmm.
My dad, opened the gas tank. He took the gas cap out. He left it out for a couple of minutes. He tried to start it. Nothing. Left it sitting a couple more minutes. Tried to start it again. And he pumped the gas pedal. And it started, thankfully. And it stayed started. So, we put the gas cap back in. We got back on the road.
Yeah.
Well, it happened 2 more times in Virginia after that. Both times at traffic lights. But, thankfully, we were able to get it started right away.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got lucky. And then my dad took over, and it didn't happen again after that. It did not happen to him once. Only while my aunt was driving. So, I'm thinking we got bad gas. We stopped a couple times for bathroom breaks and gas. Got back to my dad's house at 6:40 p.m., and that was after we stopped for pizza on the way home.
Yeah.
So it took us 12 and a half hours to get home, which was a lot better than almost 16 hours. But then my journey wasn't home, because then I had to go back to where I met my dad so that my mom could pick me up and I can go home another hour and something home. So where I met my mom was about an hour away from my dad's house, and then had another hour home. So I actually didn't get home until almost, what was it? Almost 11 o'clock at night, actually, last Sunday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty fucking late. So, yeah, other than that, the trip was cool. Being down there was alright. I thought it would be a little worse than it was. The one weird thing, though, is on the way down there, we were just about to my grandparents' house. Friday, well, technically Saturday morning, is after midnight. I would say about maybe 2:15 in the morning, we're driving, and this mist comes out of fucking nowhere. And I was able to see it in the air. That's how thick it was. Like, it kind of looked like a fog, but it wasn't fog. Whatever,
Yeah, it wasn't thick enough, right?
like, whatever it was wet, and it stuck to the windshield of the car. And it was like a syrupy mist, because my dad was spraying the windshield, with the windshield cleaners.
Yeah.
And he was hitting it with the wipers, and it was not coming off.
Fuck, that's weird.
It just, smeared it and made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what it was. It was fucking weird. Yeah, I'd never seen that happen before. But yeah, that's my my road stories. Aside from the fact where when we were at the restaurant Friday night, I was in the bathroom, and this guy next to me is doing paperwork while launching fucking torpedo turds into the goddamn toilet. This one guy walks into the bathroom. He goes, "Man, it smells like fucking shit in here." I'm like, "Well, buddy, it is a bathroom. It's not gonna smell like roses." Fucking guy walks into the bathroom and complains that it smells like shit.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking stupid. Like, what do you expect?
And exactly what I said. I'm like, "Well, buddy, this is a bathroom. It's not gonna smell like roses." But yeah, so I leave the bathroom, and the weirdest thing that I've never seen anyone do before. This guy walks into the bathroom. He washes his hands first. Okay, washes his hands first.
Okay.
And then takes a shit.
But he washed when he was done, right?
I have no idea. I wasn't in the bathroom at the time. I saw him wash his hands first and then go to the bathroom. I've never seen anyone do that before.
I can kind of get why. Like, it's a public bathroom. It's probably kind of... Like, you've probably been around touching shit all day. Like, I can kind of understand it, but that doesn't make it any less weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird. Let's just say.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I guess we could kick off the podcast now that I got my road story out of the way from last week. It was an interesting trip. So we'll hit the intro, which I am going to make a new one after Extra Life, which is next week, and I'll talk about that on the other side of the intro. So let's hit the intro, and we'll get right into the podcast. So first off, folks, let me just mention Extra Life 2018 is November 3rd and November 4th for me this year. I will be broadcasting, live streaming for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and Sunday beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be streaming for Extra Life 2018. I'm helping raise money for the kids who really need it. The money will go to getting equipment to help the children, monitor the children, get them like new heart monitors and all this other stuff they need. The money will also go towards kids with pediatric cancer and kids who need occupational therapy or physical therapy and all this other stuff. It also helps the parents who need the help for their kids but can't completely afford to pay the bills. So the fundraiser helps the parents as well pay their child's medical bills as well. So anybody out there, if you could afford, to donate anything, even $1, the link will be in the description box down below, along with all the other information about Extra Life and everything else I'm about to tell you. Click the donation button. We thank you for it, and it's greatly appreciated. Again, Extra Life 2018 will begin next Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be playing games like Mario Kart 8, SoulCalibur 6, the new Spider-Man, and some retro games as well. I haven't been able to fully flesh out this year's plan because I haven't had a computer for a little over a month.
Yeah.
Also, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Follow my friend and awesome voice actress Erin Fitzgerald. Also on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Check out Black Sakura on Facebook. All the information is down below in the description box. With that being said, let's talk about SoulCalibur 6. Let's do like a small review on the game, mainly because you haven't played it yet.
No, I'm really excited too, though. Like, I don't have the money for it right now, but it looks like something that seems up my alley. And I'm talking as a guy who really doesn't like 3D fighters.
Yeah,
so.
I was gonna say 3D fighting games don't really appeal to you.
They do and they don't, actually. I've discovered a couple that I like. Like, I like Virtua Fighter quite a lot because it's very fast and very... I just don't... I don't like Tekken, I guess, would be a more accurate way to phrase it.
Well, to be fair, Tekken is a slower-paced fighting game comparing that to the other two.
Yeah, because, like, I grew up with, like... I played a lot of Mortal Kombat and, like, BlazBlue and Guilty Gear and stuff growing up, so I think I'm used to fighting games that are a lot faster than that. Because I feel like there needs to be kind of this... when you pick up the game, you should be able to instinctively kind of flow your way through a combo. Like, even if it's just a basic bread and butter combo.
Right.
And in Tekken, you can't do that because the command list is too complex.
Yeah, in this game, it's much more simplified. Now, there are some characters that do have the auto combo bullshit, but not everyone has it, thankfully. Like, there are some characters where if you hit, like, I'm going to use the PS4 buttons as an example, because that's the version I have. If you hit, like, if you use, Taki, and you use the triangle button, if you just spam that, she does a 4-hit combo automatically. Talim, I believe, also has a 4-hit combo if you do the triangle button. Maxi, I think, has a 3-hit combo. And some of them lead into reversal edges. Reversal edge is actually a new mechanic into the combat system into the game, which we'll talk about more in a bit. So, as far as the combos and the controls and whatnot, how do you based on what you've seen, how do you think it is now?
It seems very... Okay, so I've played 2, 3, and 4. I haven't played 5.
Don't.
And... What?
I said don't. Don't play 5.
I have zero intentions of it. I've heard it's really bad.
It is bad.
But, so I've played 2, 3, and 4. And I think that it's kind of... What SoulCalibur has become with this new entry is like a nice middle ground between kind of like all the technical complexities of like Tekken, but all of the fun, fluid, like, fast stuff that you see in, like, Dead or Alive or Virtua Fighter. So
right.
that's kind of my take on it from what I've seen, at the very least. Like, I've only really watched a couple of videos on it, because I don't want to get too in-depth into something that I haven't bought yet.
Right. Yeah, it's understandable.
One thing I will say, though, is that SoulCalibur has had auto combos for a really long time. Like... But more often than not, they're combos that don't do much damage. Like in one that comes to mind for me, at the very least, is in 4. Raphael, if you hit forward and Y or forward and triangle 3 times, he does like 3 quick stabs, and it doesn't do much damage, if any.
Yeah, he's still like all the characters that were in the older games. They maintain all of their old combos, which is nice.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good.
This game definitely fixes all of the problems that SoulCalibur 5 had. If you remember, SoulCalibur 5, like, a lot of the complaints were the story mode was absolutely dreadful.
Yeah, it was that, and then there was also, they just kind of got rid of a bunch of popular characters for no reason.
Yeah, it's like they replaced them with discount versions. Like, Natsu was a discount Taki. Keelik was rendered to a random slot, and they got rid of characters like Shanqua and Sophitia and all them. I'm surprised they did that. But this game fixes everything that was wrong with the 5th game. There's 22 playable fighters offline, 21 playable fighters online with good reason, because Inferno is completely fucking broken.
Makes sense.
To the point where you can blaze through an arcade ladder in less than 10 minutes with him.
It's pretty impressive, but that's kind of what I would expect from a boss character, honestly.
Yeah, Inferno is absolutely broken. He's like a super strong version of Nightmare with a better moveset.
Well, I remember in either 2 or 3, it's fucking after you beat Nightmare in most characters' arcade modes, you end up having to fight, depending on the character that you are, it's either Inferno or Night Terror. And both of those are fucking broken.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, with good reason, Inferno was left off of the online roster. Character creation is back, which is good, because that was a staple to the series ever since SoulCalibur 3. I wish they did a little bit more with the character creations, however. The character creation suite, it has options, but not as many as you would hope there would be.
Yeah.
But realistically, though, you could still make a lot of, fan favorite characters from other series like if you wanted to bring them over.
I've seen people make like the guy from the first Nier. I've seen people make Majima from Yakuza. I've seen there was one that came to mind recently. I don't remember what it is now. I saw somebody make Sans from Undertale.
Yeah,
fucking things.
I've seen somebody made Bowsette, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
I fought against somebody that made the human version of Cyrax from Mortal Kombat 9.
Oh, that's cool.
It actually looked spot on. It was actually really good. Really well done. I imported Lyn from Fire Emblem as close as humanly possible with this game.
Yeah.
So the character creation suite, it's pretty good, though it is a little bit more limited compared to the older games. People are actually bitching up a storm, the pro SoulCalibur players. They don't want custom characters being allowed in tournaments, which I don't understand why, because custom characters, all they are just reskins of the characters that are already on the roster. Because when you make a custom character, you have to give them, one of the character's movesets in the game. So I don't understand what the problem is. Why these people are complaining that custom characters are allowed in the tournament play.
Having never played it, I think that's people being what I would like to call piss babies.
Oh yeah.
About it.
I don't see a reason. I don't see a problem, to be honest.
Oh, when they're not, like, it feels like they're just being pretentious about it. Like, oh, you need to respect the sanctity of our tournament. It's like, dude, you're playing esports.
I know, right? Like, fuck off. You're making a lot of money playing video games. Like, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, but I think in 4, when you played SoulCalibur 4, for example, I think some of the items that you can equip to your character do have certain stat effects. It's been a while since I've played it, so I'm not 100% sure on that.
No,
but
you're right.
I'm also sure that online they had no effect. Like they just didn't have an effect in most modes.
No, they only had an effect in the arcade mode and the story mode.
Yeah.
But in this game, there are no effects, buffs with the equipment in this game. They took that out. So again, I don't see the problem. Because the equipment you put on, the armor you choose, the weapon you choose, it doesn't make your character any stronger or weaker.
Yeah. So
I don't understand the problem. But moving on from that, so the character creation suite, semi-limited, but you can still do quite a bit with it. The arcade mode was done better than Tekken, thankfully. Most traditional arcade ladders have between 7 and 10 stages. This one clocks in at 8, so it's perfect. Nice balance there. The game has 5 difficulties: easy, normal, hard, very hard, and legendary difficulty. This game, like Tekken, you play 3 rounds to win. You have to win 3 rounds, so it's best out of best of 5?
Yeah, it would be best 3 of 5.
Yeah, best out of 5 to win. The online mode is the same way, best of 5 to win. The story mode is quite interesting. I'm not going to do any spoilers here because, the game is fairly new. It's only been out for 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
The story mode, now there are 2 story modes technically. The first one is the Soul Chronicle story mode.
And then there's Libra of Soul, which is for your create a character, right?
Yes. So the Soul Chronicle mode is divided into multiple parts, which I actually really like. So the main story has 20 chapters, and it follows the characters of Keelik, Maxi, Shankwa, and I believe there's maybe one other character thrown in there. I think Mitsurugi might have been thrown in there. The main story has 20 chapters. It's really interesting. Pretty good, to be honest. It flows nice. Very easy to understand story. SoulCalibur, starting with 5, and I'm guessing they're sticking with this. SoulCalibur doesn't tell their game stories through traditional cutscenes. They tell their stories with voiceover storyboards.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that it gives them a very unique feeling, like especially in 2 and 3 when you were playing through it, because it's almost like I think in 2 it's either I think it's called Chronicle of the Soul or
That
no, in
was
2 it
that
might be
was yeah. The 2 was weapon. The
Weapon
weapon,
Master,
yeah,
and
Weapon
then
Master. 3 was Chronicle of the Soul.
yeah. So like Chronicle of the Soul, from what I remember, is very like a text adventure kind of thing, and the way that it's presented really does look very good. Like it's presented like a series of old maps and storybooks,
Right.
and then you occasionally get these. You do occasionally get some cutscenes that are generic to every character, where it's like, oh, press this button and you won't take damage before you fight, or press this other button and you'll attack your enemy in a cutscene. Like that kind of stuff to me really stood out compared to like more traditional methods of storytelling, and I really think that fits with what SoulCalibur is,
Right.
because it's all about SoulCalibur to me has always been almost like, if you were gonna frame it as like a storytelling thing, it would be like you're reading a book about these people.
Pretty much.
Almost. Like that's how I've always felt about it. It's you're like reading up on like old legends.
And funny you should mention a book, because at the start of every chapter, you see like a browned out, like old timey medieval kind of like that papyrus paper stuff they used back then.
I love that. That's great.
It looks all like that, and behind the name of the chapter and the chapter number, you see a picture of the character on the right side illustrated, and on the left side of the book that they show actually has a bunch of paragraphs that you can actually read if you want to. But yeah, they took out the like the quick time things, like you said, like push a button to not take damage in a cutscene, or attack your opponent early in a cutscene. They took that part. They took that part out.
I honestly liked the idea of it in 3, but I didn't like the execution, because I felt like all of those QTEs were like, they were way too fast, and they were relegated to like the corner of the screen. So if you weren't paying attention, you'd just get hit.
Right.
And even then, if you were and you did see it, you might not have the reflexes to hit the button.
Right. And the Soul Chronicle mode, so that, like I said, the main story is 20 chapters, and you can beat it in about an hour and a half. But for the majority of the cast, like I said, there's 22 offline characters. Inferno being the boss, so he really doesn't count. Obviously, he's not going to have his own story. Tira is the downloadable character. So, if you don't buy her, then you have 21 characters and 20 online. But if you buy her like I did, because she's one of my favorite characters, if you buy her for $6, you get her character, and she also comes with her own Soul Chronicle story, along with, I would say, like 17 of the other characters out of all of them on the roster, which is really neat, because you could play as excuse me. You could play as like Mitsurugi, you could play as Shanqua. Keelik has its own story, even though they're represented in the main story anyway. Maxi, Tira, Taki, Talim, Zasalamel, the 2 new characters, Grow and Aswell. They both have their own character stories as well within Soul Chronicle. And what I really like about this is the fact that you actually play through their backstory, so you get to learn their history as you play through it.
I like that a lot.
It is fucking awesome. And if you add together all of the Soul Chronicle stories, it's going to take you probably about 10 hours to beat all of it. And that doesn't even include Libra of Souls, which is fucking seems like it's never going to end. So Soul Chronicle is awesome. Much better way of telling the story compared to SoulCalibur 5. Again, 6 fixed, everything 5 did wrong, for the most part. Then you got Libra of Souls. Libra of Souls is a text-based adventure. on a medieval map, I would say, of Europe, I would think.
I believe it's Europe.
Set in, I believe you start in the year 1584.
Yeah.
And you play through your created character. You can create any character you want. You can create a human, a monster, a lizard man, a malfested. You could create a soldier, a knight. You know, it's pretty cool. You got like 14 different character classes you could choose. And what's really cool, and I haven't finished Libra of Souls yet, so I can't even spoil this if I wanted to.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about it is it's all text-based, so there's a lot of reading.
I mean, I don't really mind that much, but...
In between reading the storyboards and the cutscenes, you do fight in the game. All of the fights have stipulations. Whether it's the stage is slippery, making it easier to fall off, or your opponent moves more quickly than you, your opponent has increased health, your opponent has higher attack and does more damage, your opponent's attacks are poisonous, defeat your opponent before in a set time limit, stuff like that, which makes it more challenging. It's interesting, to say the least. Before every fight in the Libra of Souls mode, you can use food to give yourself an advantage. Whether it's increased health regeneration, attack buff, defense buff, and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But it's not mandatory, you don't have to use it. And after you get through a certain point of Libra of Souls, you can hire mercenaries to fight for you. So, like, if you go into a fight and you're struggling, you could just use the AI controlled mercenary you hire to fight for you, and they'll fight. But if the mercenary loses, then you still get to fight. The fight's not over yet. So if you use a mercenary and let's say they take like 2/3 of a health bar off the opponent, but the mercenary loses, well now it's your turn to fight, and you have a full health bar versus what the opponent has left. So it's kind of a way to make the fight a little unfair. If you're struggling with a certain match, I've actually done it once so far against, I think I did it against Nightmare, because there was a restriction where you could only win with a critical edge finisher. Okay. And critical edge finishers, I believe this is also new to the game. I could be wrong. It might have been in 5.
It was in 4. I believe it wasn't a super that you could just activate, though. It was
Yeah, you had to fill up the soul gauge, which is also in this game.
No, it was kind of more like you had to empty your opponent's soul gauge.
Oh yeah.
When you broke a piece of their armor, they would flash with like red lightning.
Oh
and
yeah,
if you
yeah,
pressed
yeah.
one of the bumpers, it would do the critical edge and kill them instantly.
Yeah, they changed it. It's different in this game.
Yeah, it's an actual super gauge now.
Yeah. So, but Nightmare was whooping my ass like real bad, and so I used a mercenary to like take down some of his health so that my soul gauge would charge a little bit. And when it was my turn, I just spammed this one move into a throw, and it actually worked. And needless to say, I won after like 9 tries. So there's that. Stipulations are fun. Makes the game a little unpredictable. Makes it more challenging. I like that. On the map, you have main story quests, which you travel to automatically, but then you have side quests that'll pop up almost every time you finish a fight. The side quests you have to travel to, and you actually have to pay with your gold that you earn through fighting. And you actually travel by horse and buggy. It's really neat. Across the map, and you can get warriors that'll stand in your way. And if you lose to a random encounter, you lose all the money that you spent for the traveling, and you also get sent back to where you started. The expedition. It's pretty cool. I'm about, I don't know, maybe 14, 15 hours in, and I'm nowhere near done. I have no idea how long Libra of Souls mode is. but I don't think I'm anywhere near finishing it. You can be evil or you can be good, so you can side with SoulCalibur or Soul Edge. There's a Libra scale on the corner of the map where your character template is, that shows your character's level, what weapon style you're using or whatnot. It has a Libra scale there. And if you side with good, the SoulCalibur side will be leaned lower. If you side with Soul Edge, the Soul Edge side of the scale will be tipped lower. There's actually 2 trophies related to that. You actually have to do 2 Libra of Souls runs, one siding with each sword.
Okay, that makes sense.
To get the platinum. So I like how they implemented the story modes in this game. It is really cool. Online play, I have done quite a bit. Virtually no lag. I have not encountered very much lag, which is very good. Just like all the other fighting games, unfortunately, when you play ranked match now, you have to set your character before you search for a match.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Just like how Tekken does it now, and Street Fighter does it, Dragon Ball FighterZ does it. So now
in Fighters, it's honestly not that big of a deal to me, like in comparison to all those other games, because in Fighters it's 3-man teams.
Right, and then if you want to change your team, just hit the start button and change your team. Whereas the other games, you got to back out of the menu, you got to go back into the main online lobby, change the character you want to fight with, and then go back in and search. It's a real pain in the ass.
Because there's 3 things that any fighting game needs online, aside from running at 60 FPS and like having a stable connection, and they are in order. Have it be that you select your character after you connect to a match. Generally. Second, and perhaps more importantly, I would say, is you need to give players the option to do something while they're waiting for a match. Now, that is either training mode or arcade mode.
Tekken had it. This game doesn't.
Tekken had it. Dragon Ball has it.
And this game doesn't.
Dragon Ball has it, and it doesn't, because you still have to go to the location of each of those in the hub, which is kind of annoying. And the third thing is to have it so that it's usually... You need to have it such that rage quitters are punished, which how is that handled in SoulCalibur? Because Dragon Ball, I don't think, has anything yet.
I've actually never had anyone rage quit on me yet. But as far as Tekken goes, because it's also made by the same developers, there is no punishment for rage quitting in that game, so I don't think there is punishment for rage quitting in this game either. Unfortunately.
Because in Dragon Ball, it's just as simple as there's no punishment for it, but you can set percentages of match completed as one of your criteria.
Right. Yeah, this game doesn't have any of that. Basically...
the issue that I have with percentages of matches complete is it also factors in matches that you didn't rage quit out of, but your opponent did.
Right.
And that, to me, is kind of shitty, because it's like, if I just happen to have the bad luck to fight 10 guys who rage quit, then that's going to affect my rating of matches complete.
Right.
Heavily.
I wish they would adapt it like Capcom did, where if you rage quit, you're still going to lose your league points, regardless.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you rage quit and you reconnect or you reset or whatever, when you get back in, it should basically just go, hey, you fucking piece of shit. You rage quit on your opponent.
Or what Dragon Ball does, Dragon Ball FighterZ, what that game does is it gives you a red square next to your character's name. And red square lets people know, hey, this person's a fucking rage quitter.
Really? I've never noticed that.
Yeah, so, when it comes up, it tells you, like, it shows, the connection in their square color. If the square color is red, you can choose not to fight them.
Well, see, I didn't know that, because I was under the assumption that square color is the amount of matches that you've won. Like, it's an approximation of your skill level.
Right. I mean, that is the main one, but if you rage quit a lot, it turns your square red and you're pretty much fucked.
I gotta look this up. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but unfortunately, SoulCalibur 6 doesn't have any of that for the online play. You can play ranked matches and casual matches. Casual matches, you go into a lobby or you can create a lobby. The lobbies are King of the Hill style, so you play until you lose. And then when you lose, you got to wait your turn again in the room, to fight again. Mortal Kombat X has this. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had it. Trying to think of what other games had it. Yeah, so you could set the room maximum to 8 people. And if you have somebody that's really good at the game, like I've played against somebody who won 10 matches in a row, if you could just keep winning, chances are you're not going to have to wait to fight if you play casual.
Okay.
But in ranked matches, Tekken 7 had the training mode where the character you picked, you got to practice with them a little bit. For whatever reason, this game doesn't have it, and that's something they maybe should think of adding in a future update. Supposedly, I heard the Season Pass is going to have 3 characters, Tira being the first one. So there are 2 more guest characters. One of them we have in the news today, actually.
Well, actually, it said that... I believe the article actually says that she is one of 2 more guest characters, so there's 3 total.
Right, and, Tira was the first one.
No, I'm pretty sure that... I'm going to check the article real quick, because I didn't put this in the summary, but I'm pretty sure it's that... Damn it. Pretty sure it's... Tira is like a bonus, and then you also get this character, and then there's going to be 2 more.
Really? Because...
Because... this is from Polygon, so take it with a grain of salt, but...
Right.
It says here, so it says 2B will be included as part of SoulCalibur 6's Season Pass, which also includes Tira and 2 additional playable characters. So I don't know if that means that she is one of those 2, or it's also going to have Tira plus 2 more and 2B.
Yeah, see, I don't know, because...
Because their language, like, everywhere that I've seen it worded, words it really weird.
Yeah, because Tira is part of the Season Pass.
Okay.
Tira's part of the Season Pass.
So either you're ending up with 3 or 4 characters total on the Season Pass.
Because I read that the Season Pass comes with 3 guest characters and 2 character creation, bonus packs for additional armor and clothing and stuff. The Season Pass is $30. I don't have it. I got the collector's edition that comes, for $160. I did the unboxing video.
Yeah.
Does not come with the Season Pass for whatever reason, but if you buy the $90 deluxe edition, that comes with the Season Pass. I don't understand why.
Wait, so your collector's edition cost more than that, right?
Right, and it didn't come with the pass. But the lesser version comes with the pass.
Yeah, it's complete and utter bullshit.
But the collector's edition comes with the art book, the CD, the talking steelbook case, which I don't know if you looked at the video yet, but that's really fucking cool.
I haven't.
And the Sofiti 12-inch statue. So,
okay.
I'm guessing maybe that's why, because they think that stuff is more valuable than the Season Pass. But so I had to buy Tira as a bonus for an extra $6.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so like I said, I don't know if 2B is part of the guest character thing for the Season Pass, or if she's just going to be an extra.
I believe it says she is included in the Season Pass.
So, that means there's like 1 more character we don't know of yet, then?
1 or 2, depending on how this is worded. I'm going to assume 1, but...
Yeah.
So basically, I guess we'll get into the news then.
I just want to wrap up the review real quick.
Okay.
Online play is fun. I talked about all the offline modes. The combat system, if you've ever played SoulCalibur in the past, even 5, all the moves and combos are all the same as past games, which is really nice. Combat is more fluid, like it used to be in the older games. The reversal edge is a new feature in this game. If you hold down the R1 button, you can do this move called the reversal edge. And if you connect it with your opponent, you get this bullet time styled slow motion
it's
sequence.
It's rock, paper, scissors, basically, from what I've seen.
Yeah, and it's really awesome. And you can either... You could either fail, and your opponent will counterattack, or your opponent will block, or you can hit them, and then you can hit a second move, which is a lethal hit. which more often than not is going to shatter your opponent's guard, which will make them weaker. So that's really nice. I actually really liked it. First time I saw it was in the SoulCalibur 6. I played the online beta that came out like 2 weeks before the game came out.
Mm-hmm.
The first time my opponent did it to me, I'm like, what is going on here? And when I first saw it, I'm like, that's fucking awesome. And
they look really cool.
It's really neat. Geralt, I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Geralt.
I've heard, actually in the game he's pronounced Geralt for whatever reason.
That's weird.
He actually plays really well in SoulCalibur. Actually, I like his fighting style a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good character to use. Actually have used him a few times myself. The combat system is really neat. The critical edge, it was changed from how we mentioned earlier, how you crush your opponent's soul gauge and then you can go in for the final hit. This game, you charge up like a super meter, kind of like any other fighting game these days. And you hit the R2 button on the PlayStation or the right trigger on Xbox. And if you connect with the initial hit, then it goes into an auto combo sequence. Kind of like what an ultra combo is in Killer Instinct, but not nearly as many hits. And the cinematic for that also looks really cool as well for most of the characters. I really like it. SoulCalibur 6, if you haven't played SoulCalibur before, but you're interested in the game, definitely check it out. If you've played SoulCalibur in the past, even if you didn't like 5, I think you're really going to like this game. I was on the fence about SoulCalibur 5 personally, but I was on the side that liked it more than not. But yeah, the game is awesome. $60 gets you the base version. If you can find a collector's edition anywhere at a store, it's $160. If you want the physical goodies that come with it, digital edition I believe is $90 US with the season pass. So definitely pick it up. Honestly, I would give the game a B+. If I had to rate it, I would give it a B+ as a grade. Very good game.
Okay.
Solid gameplay. I think fans of fighting games, even you, I think would enjoy this game more than most fighting games.
I mean, I'm sure that I will, honestly. Like, I'm probably going to buy it next month when I get some money. But Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, and I kind of I need to buy the expansion for Elite Dangerous as well.
Right.
Which is going to be $40. So anyway.
So let's just jump right into
really
this Let's just jump right into this 2B news now.
Yeah, so basically today, Bamco announced that 2B from Nier Automata is going to be in SoulCalibur 6. Now, the article that we read does not have a release date or release window for this character. But the DLC is going to include her own stage and some BGM. And the stage is the ruined city in Nier Automata. It's a rooftop in that stage. And then the music is a remix of one of the themes from Nier Automata, and it's a fucking good remix.
I've never played...
I don't remember what the name of the track is, but it's really good.
I've never played the game Nier Automata myself, but I'm interested in the character. If she plays well, I'll be happy to play as her. $6 isn't a lot, so...
Yeah. Did you watch the actual trailer? Because I really liked it. I thought it was very good.
I didn't, only because I didn't play the game, so I feel like I wouldn't really understand it as much as you did.
Well, basically, it's just... the trailer's really interesting because it has this kind of consistent logic as to... this, like, internal logic as to why 2B is in SoulCalibur. And they just kind of... like, the way that they would show her reveal is basically Ivy's gonna live for thousands of years. And then she shows up on a rooftop, and then 2B appears and attacks her. And then the gameplay trailer actually starts. Like, it starts showing her combos and shit. And she seems like she'll be really fun to play. Like, she seems like a character who's gonna rush you down.
Right.
And she seems like she's some really interesting combos that involve, like, doing, like, an aerial move where she, like, kind of jumps into the air and swipes up with the sword. But her range seems a bit too good. Like, all of her... Like, I know in SoulCalibur it's a 3D fighter, so you can realistically sidestep a lot of attacks, but her attacks seem like they have, like, all incorporate, like, a lot of sweeping motions. And just based on the visual effects, which I don't know if the hitbox is going to be the same as the effect that's on it, but just based on that, it seems like they have a crazy amount of range compared to other characters.
Interesting.
And her critical edge is super hype because she just fucking does the she does like Strider Hiryu's level 3 from Marvel vs. Capcom, like the one where he just kind of I can't remember the name of it. I don't think it's Ragnarok. It's the move where he like moves so fast that he creates after images and just like dashes around you and cuts the shit out of you. And then at the end, she summons fucking like a shit ton of spears and just pierces you and you die. It's really good.
Huh.
That's really interesting. Like, I highly recommend watching it.
I mean, some of the characters do have long range in the game, like Zasalamel and Siegfried and Nightmare, Astaroth, and they actually do hit harder because they're heavier characters. So I think it would make sense for them to have, for her to have, a longer range. That's just my take on it anyways.
Yeah. So that's a thing. It says that, she's going to be the first of 2 or 3 guest characters alongside Tira. Or, sorry, 2 or 3 DLC characters for the season pass alongside Tira.
Right.
They brought back, what's her fucking name? Kira Buckland to voice her, which is really nice.
Oh, Kira Buckland also voices Talim in the game as well, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, and her character design, like her model, looks better than ever.
Interesting. That's really neat.
So honestly, if I get SoulCalibur 6, I'm going to be pretty excited to see this character and try them out, even though I think there might be a bit of brokenness to it, possibly.
Right. So, basically, I'm actually interested in the character myself, not having played the games before, but, I'll definitely, play as her.
Yeah, I don't... Honestly, I know a lot of people really like Nier Automata. I don't think I can reasonably recommend it, just because it's not bad, but it's not as good as people think either. Like, the story is fantastic. It's just that the gameplay itself is very kind of... It gets old, and then they introduce a lot of new mechanics to keep it fresh, but those new mechanics aren't particularly good either, in my opinion. They're satisfying, they're just not really for me. But anyway, so on to the next thing. So, ports of Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 0, and Resident Evil 4 will arrive on Switch in 2019.
And these were initially announced, back in the end of August, I think it was?
I can't remember.
So you went and summarized this, so you could go ahead into it.
The article mentions that there's no mention of any features that will be exclusive to the Switch version. And then it gives a rundown of how many times these games have been re-released. And frankly, I am a proponent of re-releasing games on newer consoles to reach audiences that may not have played them before.
Right.
And I understand that people who have already bought, people who like Resident Evil 4 have probably already bought it once or twice. But I'm really tired of companies, especially Capcom, doing this shit where it's like, buy this game for the 7th or 8th time. Like, it just came out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC 2 years ago. In Resident Evil 4's case, for example. And that kind of bothers me a little bit.
And they did it with Mega Man as well. How many times have they re-released the Mega Man games over the years?
The Mega Man Legacy Collection, to me, pissed me off more because on any previous collection they released, like the ones on PS2, GameCube, for X and regular Mega Man, first and foremost was that you bought one disc that had all of the games on it up to that point, and second, perhaps more importantly, is there was more shit on it than just, Mega Man's 1 to 10, or Mega Man X 1 to 8.
Right.
There was a lot of smaller stuff like Power Battles or Mega Man Soccer, I think, was on one. There was a really shitty racing game on another. There was at least bonus incentive. You know what I mean? There was at least more reasons to buy those versions than there would be to buy the PS4, Switch, whatever ones,
Right.
other than, oh, this is portable,
Right.
in the case of the Switch version.
So, basically, that's the only reason they're doing it. And I think Capcom is still testing the waters with the Switch, because they really haven't released much on the Switch yet. I don't really play these games anyway.
I just kind of worry that they're kind of, like, they're going to oversaturate it with Resident Evil games at this point. Like, the Yakuza team did that this year by releasing 3 fucking Yakuza games in the 1 year in the States. And like, Yakuza, all those Yakuza games were new. They were complete, like, 6 came out. There was a remake of 2 that was a complete remake from the ground up, and then they also released the Fist of the North Star game. In the case of Resident Evil, these aren't even new.
Right.
Like that, like, I think that people will get very burnt out on them very quickly, even though the games, at least 1 and 4, are different enough that there's some variety there, you know what I mean?
I just
kind of don't like the whole re-release mentality.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to do it once or twice, for people that might have never played the games before. But when you do it, like, every console generation, it starts to get ridiculous. That's just my opinion,
And honestly, the fact that emulation exists and is as popular and prevalent as it is today, like, I honestly think that trying to charge me however much they're going to try charging for Resident Evil 4 is completely and utterly ridiculous when I can get it for free online, even if it's not through a completely legal avenue.
Right.
Like, it's the same thing with the Prime.
Hold on a second, we're lagging. I don't know what happened.
Huh?
The computer is lagging. I don't know what happened.
Huh. Shit. So yeah, I was gonna say that I think that, like, for example, as much as I don't really care for Jim Sterling because I feel like he's just kind of stating the obvious a lot of the time, one of the things that he did was he made a video about how Nintendo taking down emulation websites, while they're well within their legal rights to do it, that doesn't mean it's okay.
Right.
His thing was that they're doing it because they want money, and they've been re-releasing fucking Mario 1 and Mario 3, like, for the past, almost 30 years now.
Oh, yeah.
And still expecting people to shell out money for it. Like, that's ridiculous. It's not worth the money.
Absolutely, no. Not after 10 fucking releases. Like,
No, exactly.
It starts to get a little ridiculous.
And it's like, unless there's anything extra added, I don't think it's worth it. Like, the Mario All-Stars pack on Super Nintendo, for example, is worth it because all of those games now are now updated to Super Nintendo graphics.
Right.
And they all, and sound, and they all look great, and you get Lost Levels, which was never released. Like, that to me was an incentive that if I had been alive at that point, I would have bought it. Whereas there's other cases where it's just, here's Mario 1, it's on the Game Boy. It's like, I don't care if it's portable, I can just play Mario 1.
Right. Understandable.
Or here's Mario 1 on Virtual Console. It's like, I don't care if it's $2, it should be free. It's been out for 30 years now. Granted, Sega, for example, is doing a thing right now on Steam where you can get a bundle of Sega Genesis games for $12.99.
Oh, yeah, they do that once a year.
Yeah, it's like, normally it's like $100 for all these Genesis games, but it's like $12 Canadian.
Right.
And a lot of these games are like, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which hasn't actually gotten a full re-release in a very long time, for $5.99. And I was like, I could appreciate them making you pay $5.99 for that, because, like, it hasn't been re-released in a very long time.
Speaking of which, I just want to mention real quick, because we're talking about all these re-releases. I bought the Sega Genesis Classics on the PS4 because it was on sale.
Yeah.
The only, Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles aren't even on that.
No, it's, isn't it 1 and 2, and then Golden Axe, Phantasy Star, Alex Kidd, and a bunch of other stuff?
Right, yeah, it's missing a lot of stuff, and I don't understand why. Like,
that is kind of bothersome.
The PC version has so many more games.
I was going to say, the PS3 version of that has a shit ton of games.
Yeah, and the Steam version has a lot more games, too.
Like, I was looking at the Steam version today, and it seems like it does, but I'd have to actually look through it again and compare.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does.
If it doesn't, it's definitely at least equal with the PS3 one.
So yeah, but
no, I'm just tired of re-release culture in general.
Yeah, they need to stop that. It's kind of like the complaint I always make about remasters from last gen to the current gen. Yeah, it's like, come up with new ideas already.
Nah, what needs to happen is they need to charge you a lot less.
Well, that too.
For it. Because I can understand that it takes considerable work to remake or remaster something, but I'm not going to shill out and eat, like... Especially when from the PS3 to the PS4 is generally such a small jump in quality.
And you're going to pay
extra.
Yeah, and you're going to pay $60 again? That's stupid.
The only example of that I can think of is Shadow of the Colossus PS4, because the PS3 remaster wasn't very good.
Right.
And same with Zone of the Enders 2, the PS3 version of that ran like shit. So I can kind of justify paying extra for the versions of those games. But I think that there needs to be at least a... You said a console generation. I would say I agree with that. Because it's like, here's a prime example of this. Okami, right? The game Okami didn't sell very well in its time, but was very critically acclaimed. It has seen re-releases on the PS3, then all of the major consoles this generation as well, and I believe it got a release on the Wii at one point.
Right. And it's going to be on the Switch too, I believe, also now.
It is on the Switch.
Oh, okay. So it did release already.
I personally think Okami is very overrated.
I didn't really like it much. I played the PS3 version. I didn't really care for it.
I for one found that it was visually it looks great. I like all the references to Japanese mythology. It's clear that the developers did their work in that regard. I just found that the gameplay wasn't very intriguing to me. I found that it was watered down Zelda with some really cool ideas that it kind of hampers because it's too long. Like, that game is like 3 games in one. That game has like 3 endings, basically. And that really bothers the shit out of me, because it's like, you spend the first several hours of that game like, oh, you have to go fight Orochi. And it's like, okay, that sounds really cool. And then you do the final dungeon for Orochi, and that was a huge fucking slog. But it feels like you have to do it. It's the final dungeon. And then the game's like, no, you're gonna do this other thing now. And I was like, why? Why should I care?
So, the next thing we have is Sonic Team Racing gets delayed until May 2019.
Yeah, so apparently Team Sonic Racing was originally scheduled for winter of this year, but it's been pushed back to May 21st of 2019. It says here that the stated reason, according to Sega, they put out a tweet recently that was, they want to make the game the best they can, which, personally, I find that to be extremely respectable of them, because I'd rather have them take extra time and polish it up than have them release something that's not very good.
Right, I was actually going to make that point. You know, people complain about game delays, but they do it to ensure that the game is better, rather than rushing it out to make people happy.
Yeah.
And then people are going to bitch that there's problems anyway.
To be honest, the only time I've gotten really annoyed at games getting delayed is Persona 5, because it came out like 2 years after it was supposed to.
I mean, if you're going to delay a game 4, 5, 6 times, yeah, that gets fucking annoying. Like the Duke Nukem thing, how the games end up in development hell. You know how Duke Nukem Forever took like 12 years to make, and that game was just stuck in hell.
A lot of games like that.
But if a game is going to get delayed maybe once, twice, tops, I see it as a good thing.
Honestly, I think it really depends on the length of the delay, too, because if Sega delays this until May, but then in January or February we hear oh, it's going to be until June or July, it's like, that's not a big deal to me. But if they do it a third time after that, it's going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Right,
and if we were supposed to get it at the end of this year, probably right before Christmas or right after Christmas, and now they're delaying the game by 5 months, I don't think there's going to be another delay, because that's already a big window.
So. I think that they saw this as a necessary thing to do, especially because it was supposed to come out around, like as you said, sometime this winter, so I'm going to assume around Christmas. So it's like, they've sacrificed holiday sales to make this good.
Yeah, and, that,
to me, is very respectable.
I'd rather have a game that plays well than have a game that's rushed and has bugs and has problems where, you know, the game could have been smoothed over, extra testing and everything else. You know, delay it a few months, give it that extra time to work out the bugs, you know, find more glitches and maybe find more problems and fix them. Because people, you know, in this situation like this, you can't win. People complain about the delays, but then if you rush the game out, they're going to complain that the game's a buggy mess.
It's like, yeah, I'd personally rather have the version that's good.
Exactly.
But, you know, I can kind of understand for some people. I think this is kind of a hype culture thing where it's like, oh, I'm so excited for Team Sonic Racing, and then it's like Team Sonic Racing gets delayed, and it's like, what the fuck do you mean? Because there's some people, I feel like the people who complain about like delays and the people who complain about bugs don't really overlap like as much as you would think. I think it's more people who complain about bugs are people who actually play video games quite seriously, whereas people who complain about delays are super excited for one or two games.
I mean, I'm not all that hyped for Team Sonic Racing because it looks just like the other Sonic and All-Stars racing games.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, Sonic and All-Stars looks like it was like a lot better than this based on what I've seen of Team Sonic Racing.
This looks very similar to that, so I know I'm going to like it because I enjoyed the other two games.
Yeah.
But, you know, I honestly can say I honestly can wait for this. And not to mention that the early part of next year is so cluttered with so many awesome games coming out that it'll actually give my wallet time to breathe before this comes out.
Yeah. So the next thing that we have is 16 games are becoming PlayStation hits. So what this means is basically that on the 2nd of November, 16 games will become available for $20 US in all forms, digital or physical.
Some pretty good games on this list, too. So I said there's some pretty good games on this list, too.
Yeah, some of the games that I picked out from this list are Arkham Knight, Dynasty Warriors 8, Earth Defense Force 4.1, Mortal Kombat 10, the Uncharted Collection, and Shadow of Mordor Game of the Year Edition. And I wasn't aware that this was something Sony was even doing anymore, because apparently this also happened in July of this year.
Yeah, and there was no news about it last time either, because I didn't cover it.
No, like, I didn't hear about this happening, and I'm honestly quite shocked that they're doing it. Like, I'm very happy that they are, obviously.
So, real quick, the full list that are coming out, the 16 games are as follows. Batman Arkham Knight, Battlefield Hardline, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dying Light, the following, Dynasty Warriors 8, Extreme Legends, the Complete Edition, EA Sports, UFC 2, Earth Defense Force 4.1, The Shadow of New Despair, Injustice Gods Among Us Ultimate Edition, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor Game of the Year Edition, Mortal Kombat X, or Mortal Kombat 10, whichever way you want to pronounce it, Need for Speed Rivals, Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, which for $20 is a very good deal, and Until Dawn. My favorite games out of this list, personally, the reboot of Need for Speed was pretty decent. For $20, you can't go wrong. Need for Speed Rivals was alright, but the Need for Speed reboot is better. The Uncharted Collection for $20 for 3 games, you can't go wrong for a price like that. Mortal Kombat X is a pretty good 2D fighting game, $20. Although I would have preferred if this was the XL version.
Well, it's funny because in Canada you can get XL for $20 at like at Walmart.
I have this already, so to me this doesn't matter. But if you're going to put the version out, you might as well put the XL version out for $20.
Yeah, because they did that for a lot of these games where it's like, oh, Game of the Year or Definitive, any of those complete editions.
Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends. That's another good one for $20. Especially if you haven't played it and you want to catch up before you play Dynasty Warriors 9.
Yeah, don't play 9. 9's not very good.
And Batman Arkham Knight. Now, I'm not a DC fan. I'm not really a Batman fan. But I have played the very first Batman Arkham game, and I actually really like the gameplay style and whatnot. I haven't played Arkham
the
City.
Second one, and I think that, honestly, like, I really like Batman, and he's really the only DC character that I could give two shits about, and I think that the first 2 of those games nail Batman, but Arkham Knight's kind of shit. Like, I think for $20 you can't go wrong, but I personally didn't think it was as good as the other two.
Right. I mean, I haven't played Arkham City. Was there another one that came out before Arkham
No,
Knight?
it's Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, which was made by like a B team by WB Montreal or something, and then this Arkham Knight.
So Arkham Origins, though, wasn't that just like a retelling of the first two games?
Fuck, I don't think so. Give me a second. I'm pretty sure it wasn't, but I'd have to look.
Because I've never played anything outside the first one. But for $20, I would give this one a shot.
So it says here that. Let me see here. Yeah, no, Arkham Origins it's a prequel game where it's set during Christmas time, and basically you fight Black Mask.
Oh.
And it's like when Batman's just starting out, but it turns out that it's the Joker, and that's not really that big of a spoiler. Like, I think anybody could see that shit coming.
Especially when it's been out for so long now, anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, no, to elaborate, yeah, it's just, it was made by a B team. Rocksteady didn't make it. WB Games Montreal made it, and apparently it was good, but not great. But yeah, no, so Arkham Knight's pretty good. I think it's not great, but it's still, like, for $20, you can't really go wrong.
Right. So the next thing, I want to talk about the PSN ID change feature before we go into the Smash Bros. Rumor.
Okay.
So there's a lot here. I'm sure you broke it down pretty well. But apparently...
I actually didn't see the article that you sent on
really?
that.
I'll post the link again.
Yeah, please do.
I'll post it again, but I did paste it in there. So basically, there were people that got early access to the PSN ID change feature, and they revealed some of the keynotes with it. And it says here, like, important information before changing your online ID. Not all games and applications for PS4, PS3, Vita, and other PlayStation systems support the online ID change feature if you change your ID.
You may lose access to some content, including DLC that you have acquired for your games, including content like add-ons and virtual currency. You may lose some progress within your games, including save data, leaderboard data, and progress towards trophies. Parts of your games and applications might not function properly online or offline. Your previous IDs may remain visible to you and other players in some places. Additionally, it says here that the first change will be free, but then subsequent changes will be 10. I believe this is actually £10 or €10.
10, yeah, I think it's pounds.
But no, I think it's €10 and then $7.99 in pounds.
Okay, so £7 for PlayStation Plus. Members receive a 50% discount.
Yeah, I personally think that that's just bullshit, but whatever.
Well, I mean, Microsoft does the same thing, and they don't offer a discount to gold members, so...
That's fair. I think the first one should be free, which they have done, which is nice, but I, for one, find that changing your ID and losing access to a bunch of your content, it's like, at that point, you might as well just make a new one.
Yeah, I mean, because Xbox doesn't do that, why can't fucking Sony do it? Get this right.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I can understand, like, leaderboards and stuff, where it's like you're no longer under that name, therefore they're not going to display it properly. Like, I can kind of get that, even though I'm not too happy about it. But the other stuff where, some games might not function properly, you might lose out on your content, especially if it's offline functionality, like, that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you spend a lot of money on the store on DLC, microtransactions for anyone to do that, game saves, online features. I mean, at that point, I don't think it's worth changing your name over.
No, I really don't, especially if you're paying for it.
And then it says here, if your previous online ID violated the TOS, you will not be able to revert back to your previous name. You cannot
revert to your previous once per account, or you can revert to your previous online ID once per account during the preview period. Sub-accounts cannot utilize this feature. So, like, if you're a parent and you have sub-accounts for your kids, which makes sense, I think that's fine.
Right.
After you change your ID, it may take a few hours for some things to reflect it. That's fine, that makes sense. If for any reason you have issues after changing your online ID, you can revert it to the previous one at no charge. However, you can only do this once during the preview period. changing back to your previous ID may not fix all issues. You may not recover all or any lost content, progress, and functionality, and if you want to change back, you must do so as soon as possible.
I mean,
it just seems to me like there's I understand that a lot of this is for the preview period for beta users, but it's like, on the whole, a lot of the stuff that they're saying needs to be like patched super hard.
Oh yeah.
Because if it fucks with your content that you've paid for, that's not right, especially if they're not going to give you any kind of refund.
Can you imagine if you were to buy like the most hyped game coming out next year? Right? You buy it and then you change your online ID and then you get locked out of that game and you can't play it anymore?
Yeah, that's bullshit.
I would be fucking pissed. Like,
I'd be so fucking mad, dude.
If Sony is gonna fully go through with this, they have to have so many teams testing and retesting, like test this hundreds of times over with multiple accounts and everything else to make sure this isn't gonna fuck people over, because these warnings, they don't sound very promising.
No. Certainly not.
Microsoft did this the right way, sort of. Like, when you change your name, no, they don't give you a chance to go back to your old name. But you don't lose anything you bought. You don't lose your DLC. You don't lose your gamer score. You don't lose your online functionality or anything else.
Yeah.
Sony really needs to fix this. And quite honestly, I never thought I would say this, but Sony's starting to piss me off lately.
Yeah, this is kind of... Fuck. Their recent track record has been very shitty.
I mean, if this is the track record they're going to bring into the PlayStation 5, they're in trouble.
Yeah, like they're losing touch with people, with their customer base. Like,
they're making things, they're making their content, their content rules and restrictions a lot more strict. We've talked on Discord, we've beat the dead horse over censorship. Yeah. Mainly in visual novels and anime-style games that they're doing. I understand why they're doing it, but some of it is just absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, personally, I just disagree with censorship in general, because I feel like the fact that you're going to charge me $80, or in Canada, $90, because that's what it is with tax here. So yeah, if you're going to charge me $90 with tax Canadian, then why should I buy the PS4 version if it's going to be watered down?
Right.
Like, I'm not even going to, like, half of the censored content is stuff, like, in Senran Kagura, for example, Intimacy Mode, I don't care that much, but it's like, that's still a thing that exists that's a part of that game.
Right.
So putting it makes it an inferior version by default.
Did you see the Japanese game? The visual novel, I think it is, the game that got censored with those fucking ugly-looking light rays that just come out of nowhere. And that's
they don't even look like light rays. Yuri posted it in the chat, and it was like...
It was bad. It looked really ugly.
The light, it's like, there's this girl, and she's laying in a bed in, like, lingerie. For those of you who haven't seen this, I don't know if we can get a link to it in the description or show it on the podcast, but... So basically, there's this blonde girl laying in bed in lingerie. And on the PC, it looks fine. Like, she's just laying there in lingerie. She's not touching herself or anything. She just looks very flirty and very whatever. And on the PS4 version, her crotch and chest are censored with these white lines. They don't even look like rays of light. They just look like somebody photoshopped in a bunch of white shapes.
Yeah, like fucking white bars. Kind of like those black censor bars that you would see on
oh my god, exactly.
Only
That's
these are
exactly
white.
There.
Yeah, these are white. And it looks ridiculous. It really does. And the Switch version, just like the PC version, is completely intact. From what I've heard.
Yeah, because the version Yuri showed, the other one, and it's tame, it's not even that bad.
Yeah, like, you see worse in anime, to be honest.
You see worse in some of the games that come out on PS4.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they do it. Sometimes it's a little ridiculous, but, I mean, it sucks. And
I'm gonna echo what I said in chat, and it's that I have two issues with this. The first is that companies are going to continue to charge whatever they currently charge for the inferior version of the game, and the second thing is that this creates a slippery slope, wherein, like, right now it's just stupid anime titty stuff. But what if it's, what if somebody tries to make a point? using this. You know what I mean? Like there's an example of, I believe it's called J.J. McField, something like that. It's a game by Swery, and it uses like some gory and sexual content as part of its story and part of its mechanics. So like if the game is trying to make a point with that kind of stuff, like censoring it is going to create an inferior version of that product, not only because it is censored, but because it strips it of its integrity as a narrative, like its content as a narrative and its integrity as a narrative. I mean, personally, I don't agree with censorship at all. And there was one other thing I was going to say, and it's that Sony has become the snobby rich kid at the back of the class.
And this is something Nintendo used to do a lot, and now it's like the roles are reversed.
Yeah, like Sony used to be very, how do I put this? Sony was the mature alternative to Nintendo and to Microsoft, because what happened is Nintendo was often seen as pandering to nostalgia and being very kid-friendly, which they are, but you know, a lot of those games are very good. And Microsoft was always seen as being too... Microsoft's problem was not that they were too immature themselves. They were in the lead up to the Xbox One, I feel, but it was more that the fan base was primarily composed of rabid 12-year-olds, and that's more of an issue of the PS3 cost too much, so the Xbox was more affordable to people who have kids. But now Sony's thing is that they no longer act like they're mature, they instead act like they're going, yes, I believe that these anime titties are very undesirable. Like they're just smearing down their noses at people now.
Yeah,
they're claiming that they're mature when in reality they're doing things that I wouldn't necessarily consider to be mature.
Yeah, I don't fully agree with the censorship. Like, there are ways around it, you know, if they really cared.
Free patches, that's all it needs. It needs to be, you go into your DLC menu and you see that there's a free add-on content that says, would you like to unlock restricted content? Yes or no.
Right.
And then, if you really want it to be out of the hands of children, make sure that it verifies whether, you know, on your PSN account, because you do have to put your birthday in, that you are over the age of 18.
Right, yep, that's true.
Just be like, yeah, because it's like, yeah, you know, kids will lie about their fucking birthdays and all this other shit, but it's like, at that point, it's on the parents to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, parents just have to start being parents again, insteod of letting...
Yeah, parents need to keep an eye on their fucking kids. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but... So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the matter. It's just, I don't agree with it. I don't like where this has led, and I don't like where this is leading.
Yeah, I just hope that this doesn't get worse, because like you said, let me tell you something, if somebody is going to censor games to the point where they can't be violent, you know, in some aspects, violence is already getting censored. It happened to Manhunt back on the PS2.
Yeah, that's fair, but what I was going to say with regard to that is that do what Steam does. I think Steam's a fucking cesspool of scum and villainy, but as I said, have the person verify that they're 18 via their account, or if it's like, don't let sub accounts do it, so that way kids can't do it.
Or what they can do, instead of having to verify, because like you said, you have to put your PSN on your PSN, you have to put your actual birthday on.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's just like they'll check with your PSN account to see that your birth date is that you're 18 or not.
Right. So if you go to click like download, it could come up like you are not at the appropriate age for this content, and it doesn't let them download it.
Hell, you know what? As much as I disagree with having safeguards in place to this extent, have it be that if you're under the age of 18, and then if you're over the age of 18, just go, this may contain content that some would consider to be undesirable.
Right.
Like, if it's anime titties, be like, this is lewd content.
Yeah, make it a disclaimer.
Would you like to install it? Like, I wouldn't go so far as to say it like this, but in the case of Senran Kagura, you could even, if you really wanted to, go so far as to be like, this content contains softcore pornography, would you like to download it? Although I don't agree with that particular nomenclature. I think that, you know, if they want to be super extreme about it, as they already are, like, that's how they could do it.
Or it's also possible, like I've also said in chat, it's also possible that you can make like some kind of cheat code, cheat codes haven't been a thing in video games as of like the
Yeah.
past few generations. But they can make like a cheat code that enables an option in the options menu to enable, the censored content. And this has been a thing back, 26, 27 years ago with the very first Mortal Kombat, because that game was under scrutiny because of the violence and the blood and everything. Sega, while they didn't take the blood out of the game like Nintendo did, they hid the blood feature behind the cheat code, where you can put the cheat code in and then turn it on and off, however you want to play. I think they could do it that way too, but I think the better way would be to have it as a free update or a free DLC download pack to unlock the full version of the game, and it goes by like their age,
Yeah, I think the free DLC download is a lot better, because then it's not marketed super, it's not like... The problem with cheat codes is they're kind of obscure.
Yeah,
but they're also too easy to access if a kid can find them, which is kind of
Yeah, it's like once, it's like a few people know it, then it's going to spread like wildfire on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, censorship sucks in a way. Hopefully it doesn't get worse, because if they ruin games like Mortal Kombat for me, I'll be fucking pissed.
Yeah. So the last thing that we have here is that there was an art leak for Smash Ultimate.
Supposed leak.
Supposed leak, yeah. It says here that it's possible there's been an art leak by a French print company that specializes in cutouts and banners for advertising. Now, this company has previously worked with other companies like Bandai Namco, so there is a bit of legitimacy here, but it states that, there's a photo showing off this banner, and it shows off a new Battlefield-style stage, and then a bunch of characters on it, including Shadow the Hedgehog, Banjo and Kazooie, Isaac from Golden Sun, Ken from Street Fighter, which I think makes a lot of sense, honestly, Gino from Mario RPG, the Chorus Kids from Riven Heaven, and Mach Rider, whatever the fuck that is.
Yeah, I never heard of Mach Rider. I don't think the Chorus Kids, I think that's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
Gino is already a Mii fighter in the game, so I don't think they're going to make him a full-fledged character, unfortunately. Banjo-Kazooie is owned by Microsoft now, so that's not going to happen, more than likely. Although they have stated in the past that if people wanted it, they would, allow Nintendo to put Banjo in the game.
I think they know that people want it enough that if Nintendo approached them, they just go, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, the big one was, honestly, because I wasn't aware that Gino was a Mii fighter. For me, it was the thing that made this the most fake to me was Gino, because it's something everybody's been kind of clamoring for since
Gino's
since
a
Brawl.
Mii fighter. Yeah, Gino's a Mii fighter.
Yeah.
The
basically, the people who've dug deeper have found that the photo was posted by a guy on LinkedIn, and that he works for this French company that does advertisements and promotional images for video games. And they've worked with Bandai Namco in the past. But apparently the account was also taken down shortly after the image was discovered. So that begs the question of whether or not it is legitimate, or just photoshopped. I think it leans towards having a degree of legitimacy, but as usual, I'm not going to with any degree of truth.
Right. I mean, we have less than a month and a half until the game comes out, so... I'm sure we're gonna. They're not gonna do another Smash Direct before it comes out. If they do another Nintendo Direct and they have, they want to show something more from Smash before it comes out to finalize the hype for the game, maybe they'll show a new character or two. But Banjo-Kazooie is highly unlikely. The Chorus Kids from Rhythm Heaven, one, I've never heard of it. Two, I don't think that's even real.
Rhythm Heaven was a first-party Wii game, I believe. That was it. I don't think it was popular enough to merit getting in it.
I never heard of it, so
but it is first-party Nintendo, so it's possible.
Gino's a Mii fighter. If they make him a full-fledged character, that would be awesome, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Mach Rider, I don't even remember what that is. Isaac from Golden Sun is possible. Probably unlikely, but possible. The two that make the most sense here are Shadow and Ken, because they can be
Yeah,
Echo
because they're both
fighters.
Echo fighters.
Yeah, they could be Echo fighters. Even though Shadow is an assist trophy already, they could make him a fleshed out character. Like I said, if this is real, I welcome it. If not, oh well, no big deal. Although
So Mock Rider
I do
is
want to see Ken, that's for sure. I would like to see Ken in the game.
Well, I think Ken makes a lot of sense, just as an Echo fighter for Ryu.
Yeah, and Shadow makes sense as a Echo fighter for Sonic.
For Sonic, yeah. What I was going to say is that, so I'm looking at this thing. Mock Rider was apparently an NES game, and I could see. I don't know if they're bringing Solid Snake back, but based on this character design, I think that they could be an Echo fighter for Snake, maybe.
Snake is back. Every single character that's ever been in the series is in it.
Okay, I was not. It's been a while since I've looked at Ultimate.
Yeah, every single character that's ever been in the series is in the game.
Yeah. So anyway, as a result of that, I could see it being an Echo for Snake, or for maybe like something like that.
Well, I guess only time will tell. Obviously, Nintendo's going to stay hush hush on the situation, whether this is real or fake. Personally, I think it's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
4chan seems to think it's full of fucking lols too, so...
I personally feel like this is more legitimate than some of the other rumors that we've seen, but I still think that it's a rumor and that you shouldn't take it with any degree of truth.
No, take it with a grain of salt, man. I mean, it is what it is. But, yeah, so this is the re-debut episode of the Game Corner podcast. We went about an hour and a half. Not bad. So next week we will be back, and we will be live on Twitch, because we're doing the podcast live next week with the whole,
for Extra Life?
For Extra Life, with the whole group. Anyone from Black Sakura that's around.
Sweet.
We're all going to be in it. We're going to do some news and stuff, and probably come up with some gaming topics. I'm debating on whether or not I want to reach out to any voice actors, because it's kind of late, to have them answer me. I was going to talk to Erin, but she's got BlizzCon coming up at the same weekend, so she's not going to be around, unfortunately. I do have some plans, though, to do PlayStation's with Black Sakura members for like Mario Kart, SoulCalibur, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good weekend. So next weekend, come on in, check it out. We are going to be live with the podcast next week. So with that being said, guys, Cipher, welcome back. It's been a while.
Yeah, thank you.
And next week is going to be interesting. That's how I feel. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching the podcast, the re-debut episode, episode 22. And until next week, my name is Arose, and for co-host Cipher, until next time, we'll catch your ass down the road.